City Council. Joe, take it away. No fist bump.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm in a good shape right now that I know most of the people that I'm talking to, but I really want to tell you why I'm doing this. Even my friends may not know that. Again, I'm Joe Hoffman, in case there is anyone here that's new, and I'm a candidate for Allentown City Council on the Republican ticket. And I'm doing this because I find there are 3 or 4 things that absolutely must be done in this city within the next 5 years, or we're going to have a very, very divided and dilapidated city. The first thing is a rather standard Republican orthodoxy of cutting spending and cutting taxes. I feel that is vitally important. I think this 27% tax increase that we're all just beginning to suffer under is going to wreak havoc on the poor and the underprivileged in this town, and in fact is going to dramatically hurt middle-income families as well. I believe that that kind of reduction is needed. But what I also believe is that there is another half to that story. I firmly believe that this city could raise millions of dollars per year in additional non-tax, non-fee, and actually most of it non-grant monies. Money that, if it was raised properly, could either lead to a reduction in taxes, or it could lead to taking items out of the budget now and funding them under a different source, which would also reduce taxes, and getting more things accomplished for this city that are vitally necessary. I know how to do that. That's been my life. The first grant I got was in 1971, so Ed really wasn't that far off. I've been doing grantsmanship for almost a half a century. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I know where to go, who to talk to, what monies to get. When I worked at Barry Eisen and Associates the year before I left, they did a quick check to see how much grant money I've raised during the course of my professional career. The number they came up with was $75 million. I do know how to do this, and if I am elected to city council, I will be spending 4 years of my life doing just that, saving you money. Putting it back in your pocket, where it belongs, where it never should have got out of in the first place, and finding the money for things that are in next year's budget and the year after that, so that they don't even have to take the money out in the first place. The second item, which I also believe is vitally important, we live in a new Allentown majority now. The Morning Call published it last month. I'll reiterate it really quick. 2 out of every 3 residents of Allentown are not white. That means the government, the elected officials, the staff, and everybody connected with this town has to change. You cannot live forever in a town where the majority of the people living in it have no representation in their government. So what I am proposing is a Millennial Leadership Council, something I have done in 3 communities in the past. What that does is get young people, ages 25 to 39, of all ethnic, racial, religious, and other backgrounds together to teach them how to become the next generation of leaders, to tell them what they have to know, to tell them where to find the money, to tell them how to get themselves organized, and to get them electable in the elections of 2021, 3, and 5. This has to be done by 2025. This city is living on borrowed time right now, and it really had better shape up or its time is going to run out. The third item I so desperately want to do, because I live with people like this every day. I'm sure you all know about the homeless problem in the city and the fact that there's a lot of good things being done about it. I really always credit Pastor Stevens at Zion Church because he is one of the front and center people for it. I'm sure you also have heard of the expression of people who live from paycheck to paycheck. And that's become a very common thing these days among all ethnic groups, including people who you might think are much more well-to-do than really they are. What has to be done is we have to take care of the people in the middle of those two. They're not yet homeless, but they're not even making it paycheck to paycheck. If they're getting paid once every 2 weeks, after about 7 days, they no longer have money for food, they no longer have money for prescriptions, and they got to scratch and scrape till their next paycheck comes in to repeat the process all over again. They don't have a life, they're not going on vacation, they're not even going to take their kids to a ball game. They don't have any money, and they don't have any prospects to get money yet. But there again are ways to do that without raising taxes, and I know what they are, and I intend to do it. And the very last thing, because I promised to keep this short, this city's park system, the jewel of this city for 115 years now, is in dire straits. And the reason it's in dire straits isn't because the Recreation Bureau is doing a bad job, just the opposite. They've gotten quite a few grants for new park projects and renovations to parks that are there. But those grants require matches. There are no matches. And because of that, the money is authorized, but it's not appropriated. So the city can't use it, so the parks lay stagnant another year, and things continue to go south. I know not only how to get those matches together, but I also know how to repair relationships that the city has had for a long time with organizations like the Trexler Trust. And those relationships need to be revitalized and strengthened, frankly, because of the actions of the last mayor, who's now serving 15 years in a federal prison in Danbury, Connecticut. Those are my 4 things. You heard them now in February. If any of you hear me on election eve in November, you can hear the same 4 things. That's what's important. If those things get done, this town will be better. Every one of those 4 things is measurable. It's not me flapping my gums. People will be able to monitor every step of the way. Is he doing what he said he was going to do? And I am going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to stop for now. I will come back in about a half hour, 45 minutes. That'll be even shorter than this one. But I have one story to tell you before you all take off tonight. Thank you, everybody, and say thanks to Machos. Please go out, patronize their bar. Wonderful food, terrific things that they did for us. Gave us a severe discount so that we could have the event, and it's a wonderful place. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, everybody.